Welcome to the Volume 1, our first edition of our virtual real estate rerun. So as the world continues to go virtually, as we participate in things that we feel like have a level of substance to them, then we're going to create mechanisms like this to where we can replay things that I really feel like, if taken seriously and if applied, can help move your business to the next level, right? You know, I'm not the keeper of all information, all world knowledge, all real estate knowledge. I'm not that, but I'm a conduit. So this right here is just an opportunity for me to be a conduit and relay some information. So again, you didn't sign on to hear me talk. You signed on to get some good knowledge, get some good tools. So we got two sessions that we're going to look at today. One of them is entitled, it's called Agent Connect. It was about an hour and 35-minute session that they did where they brought in some different, a different round table of agents to speak on different topics. So we're going to start with that one. And then the other session that we're going to replay today is 5 new features every listing needs to know. That's about a 10-minute, maybe 11-minute session. And it just talks about creating smart, safe spaces and listings to gain insights and resources as it relates to listings. So those are the 2 ones that we're going to show today, that we're going to replay today. So let me go ahead and get it queued, and we'll get it going. Let me get Agent Connect queued.
Okay.
It was on day 3. I thought Agent Connect was on day 2, but maybe it was on day 3. Marketing. All right, let's see. Connect, broker connect, connection. How about that?
Who sung that song, Mike, when you was playing? Trying to find it.
Must call it something else.
Probably so.
So what we'll do is we'll start with the listing one because I'm not seeing the Agent Connect.
Okay.
So let's start with this one.
Okay. Finding it.
Oh, there it is, Agent Connect. I don't know
You
why I
found
wasn't pulling up. All right, well, we found Agent Connect, so let's get it going.
it? Okay. You found it?
All right, you ready?
Literally lives off
I'm
the
ready.
land. Like if the land is valuable,
Let's
a realtor
see.
does.
Hold on.
Okay.
It was getting going. I'm gonna go ahead and admit Pat.
Okay.
All right, so we got Pat. What's going on, Pat? We just about to get started with our first replay. So let me share my screen. All right, let's get this show on the road.
Okay.
Hello there, Mr. Joe Raymond.
Everybody can hear?
It's good to see you, Renee Funk. How are things in Orlando?
I'm very grateful to see you today. It's nice to share some time with you and all of our attendees today at Agent Connect.
Yeah, welcome to everybody to Agent Connect, our first virtual Agent Connect. We've had a couple of town halls in the last few weeks to help prepare for this, but today is the real deal. Today is the virtual Inman Connect now. We've had the general session, which went on this morning. I know you caught a lot of that. Anything jump out at you about today's general session that really spoke to you, Renee?
Well, I also want to encourage our audience too is to type in the chat where you're viewing from. Where's home? Inman Connect Now is reaching us right here in our living rooms. I'd love to see where your living room is located. So type your location in and say hello. Wow, it's been a powerful and really thoughtful start to Inman Connect Now. Joe, you mentioned the morning general session. I was so super impressed with Brad Inman, as well as all of the leaders who shared their talent and contributions today. It's really focused on the importance of real estate and the real estate agents being the mayors of their town, being those pillars in the community. I think it's really important, even as you and I launch off Agent Connect, that we are sharing the intent for this time as well.
Yeah, it really is. It's such an amazing time to do this. You know, we did all our prep for this over the last month, and over the last month, the entire conversation was centered around the industry's reaction, recovery, and response to COVID-19. And then within the last week, the whole conversation nationally has changed to the issues that emanated out of Minneapolis and Black Lives Matter, and now the violence and things that have come out of them, how it's being handled by the authorities. But you're right. I thought it was really something, the way that the morning sessions, that this first big panel, the three women talking about their experiences and how they're relating to the changes that we're all going through and how we're going to respond to them. I know you had you got some powerful moments out of that this morning.
Had a lot of powerful moments, and even as you're mentioning, if we look at our preparation meetings and calls that we had to prepare for Agent Connect, there's something that stood out to me then over the last week, as well as even in the last 24 hours, is the agents and the panelists and the speakers servant heart going up to come together and lean into the community. The community, I think now more than ever, realizes the significance of our role is we facilitate home ownership. And I'm grateful that we're all leaning into the reminder that when we facilitate home ownership, that is where our communities build their memories. That is where families build memories every day. And it's not something to be taken lightly on. One of the things I'm most proud of, and I think that the audience will gather, is that the speakers that we're about to share a conversation with, they're here to deliver and talk about really important lessons and insight on how this agent community and the Agent Connect audience can serve their customers and their communities at a higher level, which is really what it's all about.
Yeah, I mean, I've always felt, it's always been a big part of my approach to the business is the idea that a realtor really does live off the land, in the sense that, like, literally lives off the land. Like, if the land is valuable, a realtor does well. If the land is not valuable, we don't do well. That our product is the community that we service. It's not just the home, it's where the home is situated. What's the community like? Is the community is it in a good state? Is it growing? Is it thriving? Is it supportive? And the more that we contribute to that, it's as if we're polishing the cars in our dealership. Like, the better you make your community, the better it is for your business. And so it's always been something I've taken very seriously in my profession. It's not just about the personal gratification that comes out of it. It's about, the very selfish self-interest I have to make living in the, New York City suburbs a better place to be. And that goes for dealing with the pandemic. It goes for dealing with race relations. It goes for dealing with police relationships with the community and whatnot. However you can contribute, you contribute, as well as a lot of things for nonprofits and whatnot. I know we covered a lot in the town halls about what people were doing for their communities from a fundraising type perspective. All those things go into the mix. And then that was, I think, what came out this morning as well.
I agree with you. It's, again, another reminder of how we can be those facilitators, and we all need to remind each other, well, sometimes we feel very transactional. It's about the human relationships. It's about the human relationships that we're coming together today to experience with our fellow agents and real estate industry colleagues. But it's also about how we can improve at a really hyper-local level when we come together globally, like we are today with this virtual Inman Connect Now. It can have a cascading effect out into our local markets. And I do believe from what we've seen already in this great start to the day and what I know the panelists are sharing today, it's going to be uplifting, and everyone should walk away with some pretty important nuggets on how to continue to be the mayors of their town.
Yeah, and I think on top of this whole, what we've been going through over the last week and how that's been the dominant conversation, I think we can't forget what we've gone through for the last 3 months and the extent to how the real estate industry has responded, how the real estate market has responded to what's been going on with COVID-19 and the response to the pandemic. And I know that we have talked a lot about, what we see happening going forward, how the industry is going to evolve, or will there be an evolution? Will there be a revolution? How much will what's happened last 3 months change the industry and the practitioners in it? Let's talk about that for a few minutes before we get our panelists on. What do you see as the big changes that will be coming out over what we've experienced over the last few months?
The big changes, hands down, is going to be the efficiencies from a service level that we as agents will work together to provide our customers and improve the industry and the way we approach serving those customers. What are you seeing on your side?
Well, I think that we're going to need to be more efficient. Like, I don't think you're going to be taking buyers out 15 times to go look at homes. Like, we're going to have to get better at like finding them the right home through virtual means and narrowing down. And then when they go to see the home, it's almost a disqualification of, we're seeing the home because we're trying to make sure if we don't want to buy it, not we're trying to get a sense of what a high ranch looks like. I mean, you're not doing that anymore. You don't want to expose your seller to it. You don't want to expose your buyer to it. You don't want to expose yourself to it. I think the other big thing that's coming out of this is the extent to which, and I know Gary Keller touched on this today, is that this process, this experience has accelerated dramatically our adoption of lots of technologies that might have taken years for us to bring in. Just the fact that we're doing a full Inman Connect on a virtual platform. I know that I've been doing, I've done, more Zoom conferences in the last month than I did video conferences my entire career. And I think everybody else is having that same experience as well. And that's pushing that whole adoption of this new environment, this new communications technology forward just by leap years.
Interesting you bring up this morning's general session. Going a little bit deeper into that same thought is the successful and forward-thinking agent, when we look at recovery, are going to be the agents who understand and facilitate a marriage between the technology and the in-person physical service we provide. That marriage between those two worlds is what is going to set agents apart. So it will be interesting to see as we face and travel through recovery, who navigates that in the same way.
Yeah. And I know you've got a really great panel coming up with some people to talk about some of those exact issues. So I want to give you an opportunity to go to it. I'm going to I'll take a break for a moment. I'm going to be in the chat room. You're taking the first panel. I'll be back a little bit later with some of the other panels, but good luck and good luck to your panels. And great to see you here today.
Always grateful to spend time with you, Joe. Thank you for sharing your thoughts.
See you in a little bit.
All right, see you soon. We're going into our next phase of Agent Connect. This session is managing a virtual transaction from start to finish. We are very grateful to have two fabulous leaders in the real estate industry. Our first speaker is Aaron Kerman, who is the star of CNBC's Listing Impossible. Aaron is the president of International Luxury Estates at Compass and has sold over $6.5 billion worth of estates in the Los Angeles area. He's a team leader to one of the largest, most top producing teams in the nation. Together with Aaron, we have Tommy Choi. Tommy is the co-founder of Weinberg Choi residential team in Chicago. He sold over 1,000 properties and over $470 million in sales. Tommy also has served as the 135th president of the Chicago Association of Realtors and is the first Korean American president in the association's 135-year history. Welcome, Aaron and Tommy. Welcome, Aaron. I think we have Tommy coming in too to join us in a second.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's a pleasure to see you, and we're so grateful that you joined us. I think we have Tommy. Hello there, Tommy.
How's it going? Grateful to be here with both of you.
So grateful to have you both and have you come to share your contribution of time and talent with everyone. I want to dive right in. Tommy, I'd love for you to share, in times of business adversity, it can all force us to assess the business functionality operationally. As Joe and I were mentioning with forward focus earlier in our opening statements, how are you recreating yourself and your business?
Yeah, that's a great question, Renee. And, I'm always careful to answer this because, in any time that I've been part of any kind of shifting market, you always want to stay adaptable, and that's why it's so key to be learning based. At the same time, you can't stray too far from the plan that got you to seeing the success that you have. That being said, while our core foundational pieces haven't really changed, where we've really adapted in this time is looking at, internally how the engine is running. Keith Cunningham is someone who, I always consume his content, and he always talks about doing 3 audits in times like this. One being, obviously your financial expenses and whatnot, which, we always do that. But really the other 2 are looking at your efficiencies and capacity. And I know you just touched on that prior to jumping on here. And I think that's been our biggest key during this time to reinvent ourselves, is to look at all the roles, the job descriptions of everyone, right? And making sure that, hey, are we running efficiently, and also are we at our capacity, right? Just because our engine has X amount of horsepower, are we even anywhere near seeing that kind of performance? And that's where we've really taken the time to reinvent ourselves during these past 2-3 months.
You're bringing self-awareness into the equation now more than ever. Aaron,
exactly.
How have you been recreating yourself in your business? I know you've been very busy.
Yeah, from every challenging situation, whenever the world goes upside down, I've taken that time to reflect and really almost from top to bottom, figure out where we need to go, what we're doing right, what we're doing wrong. I would say the bulk of my career grew in times of challenge. And every time I made big leaps and big bounds, tried to figure out what we could do better, what I'm doing wrong, what we're doing right, and where we want to go.
And I would say, you know, going back to like 2013, it was probably my worst year in real estate ever. I was having a nightmare year. I wasn't making the money I wanted. I was getting dinged. And that was the year that I made a change from one brokerage to another. And I literally at that point in time walked away from $400 million worth of inventory because it wasn't working. And I said, this inventory is not working. I'm going to start from ground up and build again. And what I learned from that moment is when I did that, 3 months later, I had $500 worth of inventory that I was selling from the redirect. And so when this happened, I really took on the moment, and instead of going, you know, being fearful and, you know, realizing we needed to be the mayors, we needed to help our communities. But beyond that, we wanted to take it a step further and really be there for our clients. And in doing that, we rewrote our script from top to bottom. And what we realized is as good as we did, we could be doing 50% more. And so as, you know, Tommy said, we looked at our finances, we looked at our staffing, we looked at our capacity, we looked at our marketing, our advertising, and how we could be better as a team. And I would say I'm so much more prepared today than I was pre-COVID. And now we have a new challenge, which is, you know, obviously these protests, which are going to add a whole different layer to our world.
And that's what you're both mentioning, Aaron and Tommy, is the self-assessment, the operational assessment. That need and that important step is important regardless of where you're at in scaling your business. You've both mentioned some key steps you've taken. I'm wondering, Aaron, if you would, can you take a deeper dive into the lessons or a lesson that you learned in that process of assessment?
Yeah, look, you know, every year we're really grateful because we have a good year, right? But what I realized is I was being somewhat complacent in my approach. And what I realized is if you're not evolving every day, day in and day out, and if you're not watching the new trends and the new ways of doing business, you're almost going to be out of business because this business is uber competitive. There's so many people in it. There's more transaction. There's less transactions than there are people, you know, so in order to really be ahead, I think you really need to understand what is cutting edge. So, for example, technology is not new. Everybody knew that technology is what we needed to do, but everyone was calling it something different. They're calling it virtual transaction. Well, for me, I always thought it's not necessarily a virtual transaction. It's just a marketing and advertising approach on steroids to make it bigger and better. So what we realized is anybody can list a house and show a house and say it's listed, right? But there's a deeper message about houses and people and what we do. And I think the audience today cares about that message. They care about that neighborhood. They care about that seller. They care about that buyer. And everyone has a story. And so the more we could tell our stories, our seller stories, our buyer stories, our community stories, the better we will do. And so I went from, you know, we spend a ton of money hundreds of thousands of dollars in marketing every month. We went from having print and we still believe in all of it, but we really went full force. We never stopped marketing. We actually doubled down our technology sections. And what we noticed was we weren't necessarily selling more houses, but what we were getting was a list of a lot of qualified buyers and sellers that were taking note so that when the time was right, they're ready to go. And we transitioned that to the media, and it doesn't matter where you are in your business. Like you could be starting, you could be in our position, you know, I mean, it really doesn't matter. It's all about organizing and structuring and taking the steps, making sure your CRMs are correctly, making sure you care about your clients. It's not about the sale. The sale will come. But if they feel that you care about them and that you really want their best interests, that is how you will get community, buyer, and seller loyalty and grow. And then it's about figuring out what's new, because I think a lot of real estate agents tend to just listen to what is cold, what is tough. But what they don't realize is this is a very individual business, and who I am may not be who the audience is, and what works for me may not work for them. And so everybody needs to find who they are and define it very clearly, and from there expand all the media sources in a very organized way.
So you mentioned virtual transaction, and real quick, Aaron, what is one tool, one software program, one tool, one app you're using now to be more virtual than you weren't before?
I didn't even know what Zoom was before COVID-19. I had no idea what Zoom was. I didn't believe it. I didn't like it. I would have avoided it like the plague. But what we realized is with Zoom, I get to see you two beautiful people on this phone right now. You're who you are, what you're thinking, and quite honestly, I would say that my team meetings, and I have a team of 80, are better today than they were before COVID. Because before, everyone had to drive to the office, and either I got them or I didn't got. Hold on one second. Let's see. Anyway, either I got them or I didn't get them. Either they came or they didn't. Today on Zoom, my team meetings, I'm getting outstanding attendance, and on top of that, we're getting speakers that are super credible, super interesting in their field, and I'm turning my Zoom meetings into it's a production now. And the education that we've learned from them are so great, that my team has learned and that I've learned actually. And so what it made me realize is I'm gonna do a whole online segment for agents, for buyers, for sellers, on what real estate means, how to transact, and how to win in any market, whether it's good or bad.
So the video conferencing has been critical. We did a poll just a moment ago, which virtual tool has been most helping elevate the customer service over the last couple of months. And we have 71% saying video conferencing. Tommy, I'd love to hear your thoughts around lessons you've learned during your self-assessment the last couple of months, and share a tool that's been instrumental in the navigation of your last couple months.
Yeah, that's a great question. And I love everything Aaron said. And I'm probably going to echo him a little. My lesson and my tool are the same thing. And part of it, the lesson was that I kind of got in my own way, where I thought, okay, in order for me to fully evaluate value on luxury properties, I have to be there. And also, you know what? I have to be face-to-face and belly-to-belly with the client, because I need to tell my story and win the business that way, right? And what I've learned is, one, right, the last 60 days or so, we've been forced where I can't be face-to-face and I can't be inside someone's home physically. So I've had to rely on video and Zoom and whatnot. And what I've learned is that, one, it's made me sharper, because it's, when we looked pop the hood of the car, like I mentioned, the efficiencies, we have a really solid pre-listing prior to the marketing consultation process, but we were nowhere near capacity on that. And we've learned that we had to intake way more up front so that I can properly evaluate over a video conference, right? And so it made me better there. And that's the tool, I think, that's been really the key in all this, and here to stay. You know, I want to say 2 years ago, I was at an NAR conference, the IOI tech conference in San Francisco, and I got to introduce on stage the gentleman. He was the director of search for real estate and automotive at Google, which, one, I find that very interesting that they lump real estate and the car industry together as far as search goes. But he had mentioned to me backstage that, you know, hey, within the next 5 years, 90% of what you consume will all be video on Google. That's what we're going all in on. And I always understood it as the traditional, I'm going to film something and post that content out there, or live broadcast something to make it be consumed on the replay. But now I'm completely understanding it's how we're communicating right now, through a camera, live interaction. And I think that's been the greatest tool to be able to do that. To Aaron's point too, part of our capacity and efficiencies, right? There's an awesome meme that's gone around that says, hey, that meeting could have been an email, right? We've learned that we've been meeting way too much as a team in person, and that we could get away with less meetings so that we can be more efficient and be closer to what our capacity is. And utilizing this Zoom platform to do our daily huddles, team meetings, it's just really opened our eyes to the world of possibilities to be able to be more efficient and more productive.
I just want to say one thing too. If you look at our job, like when I started 24 something years ago, I was a real estate agent. We put signs up, we had these books on what's open, and that was it. If you look at what our job is today, we are agents, psychologists, we're in the entertainment business. We have to publish content. We have to make content. And the beautiful thing about where we are today, and I find this so inspirational for any agent just starting their business, is you don't even need a show like I have to get it. Build your YouTube channel, build your Instagram, because if you do it right in an aspirational way, and you educate and you teach and you show, you don't even need it anymore. And that's the beautiful thing about what we do. You can go so far in this new virtual, let's just call it virtual reality, even though they're calling it virtual showings, that I think anybody can take their business and go to the next level times 100 if they embrace the new tools.
Aaron and Tommy, you're both bringing up very valuable points for the industry to take hold of. And the adoption of technologies as we look at recovery and as we navigate into what the next phases of our industry look like are going to be critical. We talked, Joe and I did at the beginning of Agent Connect, about the marriage between the technology and the physical connection in the relationships being critical as well. Aaron, I'd love to hear from you. What are you doing to make sure that this process isn't dehumanized?
I actually think the process is getting more humanized, because what we've learned is people don't want to just see another house for sale. Buyers and sellers. People want to understand what the house is, what the play is, and who is behind it. And so what we've realized is we're storytellers. And the better we tell a story, the more the house will sell, the more buyers are interested, and the better we will do as people. And so we've worked really hard on making this process more human. And I'll say that from this experience, the one thing that I would say was really interesting is I got to know people on a level that I didn't get to know people before. Before, everyone was rich. Everyone didn't need to sell in my market anyway. We're good. You get me my price. Today, what I learned is people have serious problems. And people are being really authentic about the problems and their concerns. And we need to work through these problems together. And we have the most important job in the world. We are mayors of our community. And if we do our job right, we not only sell community, but we help make communities. And today, more than ever, that human level is going to be so important, because not only do we have to get through COVID, now we have to get through these protests and a lot of feelings of anxiety on all fronts. And people are going to be looking to us to help men rebuild and reshape the future. And I think we all need to take our job very seriously. So it is a human business more than ever. Technology only helps us get better. And if we utilize the technology in the right way, the more human we will be. And by the way, people love to hear, it doesn't always have to be good. Let's be real. Let's be honest about where we are. One thing that I did a long time ago is I have 100 flaws, right? I'm not the best at structure and organization. I hire people to help me. I'm very clear about what I'm good at, what I'm bad at, and how I add value. And my proposition ad when I go into any meeting, I'm very clear about it. And if people like it, great. And if they don't, there's somebody else. And we appreciate that as well.
Tommy, what are you working with your team to make sure the process is not dehumanized?
I think, just like Aaron said, the more that we as realtors embrace this technology, the more it becomes humanized. There's two types of people in Chicago, I always say. Ones that put ketchup on their hot dog and ones that eat it the correct way, which is basically like putting a garden salad on your hot dog and mustard. There's two types of realtors too, right? There's ones that complain about how things once were and how things should be with zero action, and ones that adapt, right? Adapting, why some people I found are afraid to adapt in our industry, because they think exactly this question, that it's going to dehumanize the process. It's going to replace what's tangible, proprietary to me. But a hammer is no good unless someone is there to pick it up and swing it. Video doesn't work if you're not on the other side of this and I'm not on the other side of this, right? So it's better than an email or a text where you take things out of context. Now I'm hearing and seeing Aaron's intonations and what his personality is, and he's got a bright smile, and I feel good about the story he's telling me.
Oh, thank you. Somebody thinks so.
I'm going to need a cameo, you know, on your next episode. So just sliding that in there. So, you know, I do think that it humanizes.
Wait, that's a trio. Just saying, Tommy, that's a trio, Aaron, and you're coming all together. Just saying.
We can all have our own show.
We do right now.
You're going to be a beautiful, charismatic host as you are here.
So, I mean, I really do think the more we embrace it, the more it humanizes this process for us. Nothing, you know, I loved what you said earlier, Renee, that we have to be the mayors, right, of our community and our towns. And it's true, right? Yelp can tell our clients in Chicago, where I live in the north side, what the best sushi restaurants are, but it can't get you a reservation when you're in a pinch. And it can't tell you what to get off menu because I'm there and I've established a relationship with the shop owner, the restaurateur. And he or she understands that I'm the one putting people in the neighborhood that end up coming and sitting at their table to consume their food, right? So that's part of using that technology to humanize that process.
And one other thing I want to say, which is interesting, is I have a team of 80. And I notice these young people come to my office every day and they're like, I'm going to get in touch with X person. And what I realize is in our own heads, we are our own enemy. And in my head, I'm like, good luck with that. I mean, we're talking about the most famous, the richest. These are 25-year-old new kids that just started in my business. And then we have people that on our team that have been in business 50, 60 years. And what I'm noticing is the people that just embrace these new things and are just like, I'm going to go make it happen. They go make it happen.
Well, you both are making it happen, right? You're both showing us and reminding us right here and today at Agent Connect that when you are leading in the servant leadership role that you both do in your communities, you are excelling because you're delivering a service in your community. Thank you for both coming together today and sharing your wisdom and your insight. We appreciate you both so very much.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Take care, Aaron. Bye, Tommy.
Bye, guys. Thank you all.
Bye, Aaron. Bye, Tommy. Hello, Renee. Oh. I saw a lot of great questions. Thank you, Aaron. Great questions and a lot of really interesting discussion about how do you humanize this kind of relationship when everything's become so virtual. But we're moving now to, we have a new panel coming up talking about the financial deep dive, how agents can business plan right now to prepare for what's next. And joining me on the stage will be Vikram Deal, Peter Lorimer, and Allison Hellman. They're coming up right now. We're going to talk about business planning and how business planning has been affected by everything that we've been going through. Hello, Vikram.
Hey, Joe, how are you?
Woo! Oh, that came in loud. Good to see you, and nice to see you, Peter.
What's up, Joe? How are you, mate?
I am
Very good.
Great. And now Alyssa's on. Hello, Alyssa. It's like we're doing big reveals of everybody as they come on.
This is amazing.
Let me just publish as we start. We have a poll to get everybody started. And the poll is pretty simple, which is that do you have a formal business plan for 2020? And it kind of runs the range from no, what is this thing called the business plan, to yes, and I follow it rigorously. But let me ask you all, I know you all are big business planning types, and how much has your plan changed now in June from where you set it in January? What have you had to adapt?
I think, if anything, I just kind of want to give a little backstory. We spoke about this yesterday on the setup call, but I'm a super progressive kind of broker, kind of very techie guy. And a couple of years ago, I run the company with my wife, and I looked at my missus and I said, what if there is an event? We had the traditional business, 4 offices, loads of staff in all the offices. And I'm like, what if there's an event? I was thinking it may be an earthquake, because I live in LA, or it could be another 9/11, God forbid. And so 2 years ago, we decided to kind of become click and mortar, which is partially virtual and then have a home base as well. And so we switched actually to Zoom 2 years ago, and we switched to having office meetings on Zoom 2 years ago. And I meet all my agents and have been for the past 2 years through my computer, and it's immensely efficient. So since COVID hit, we almost had a playing field advantage. So actually our numbers went up. Our numbers have gone up since the disaster, and our pivoting speed, and I'm certainly not wishing to gloat or anything, but our pivoting speed has been overnight. There has been no difference between pre-COVID and post.
So you had made decisions in previous years that put you in a position where this was something that you were able to very quickly adapt to. That's interesting, and that obviously very perceptive of you to see that, or the possibility of something like that coming. Vikram, how has your business plan changed?
You got to look at things that you didn't look at before. You're tightening the belts in places. You still want to support the people that have supported you, but you start to think about what's working and what's not, and where you're spending your money. And so what are you doing to save time, save money? And for me, I've always been a big fan of let's do less driving. Let's do less meetings in person if we can. Let's try to get as much virtual stuff as possible so that we don't have to spend the face-to-face time with people that might be tire kickers or not ready for you. And it speeds the process up. So for me, it's just, you keep going down that virtual track, which allows you to cover more ground in a shorter period of time.
100%.
Really good. Now, I don't know if Alyssa, welcome. Alyssa's the founder of Compass South Consulting. And I don't know how much you were able to hear, but we're basically just talking about business planning and about what adaptations did you have to make as this year kind of went in a very different direction than what we expected in January.
Yeah, I mean, I think the big thing that changed for me was kind of doubling down on the plan that I've had before. Most people business plan and write it down in October, November, and then they don't revisit it until the following year. And it tends to just be the same business plan that they had last year because they didn't do anything about it during the year. I have always been much more of like a short-term planner. So I do a quarterly business plan. I have my overall annual plan, but I have a quarterly plan that I follow, which actually makes my life a whole lot easier during an event like this because you're really just adjusting the short term, and the long term you're kind of getting to once you're closer to it. So.
And that process is a lot easier. I mean, I always say that it's better to have any plan is better than no plan. Because no matter what your plan is, if you have something thought out and you get hit with, the side, you get knocked off plan, at least you have some where you're trying to go. Like you thought that out, because if you don't have a plan, you're just running around aimlessly. And so having something there, I think really grounds you in what you're trying to do, right?
Well, yeah, and I think that's what this event has showed all of us, I think. Whether you're American, Canadian, from wherever, the unpredictable nature of where we all exist right now makes it so much better to have this short-term planning. Like if I woke up and made a plan for tomorrow, things are changing so rapidly right now that my plan for tomorrow may not pan out. So we really need to be much more focused on this short-term planning than we probably ever have been before.
I mean, I think a really interesting point is, right, so for all the agents out there are like, how do we plan our business around this? Imagine this, you're a new agent, you're coming to the industry and somebody says to you, hey, you new guys, I'm gonna reset the entire industry overnight. The playing field will be leveled. All of the guys that get all the business are gonna be in the same boat as you. This is a gift. This is a gift to all of the agents who now want to get a foothold, because it's all changed forever. So now, all industries, not just real estate, but if you're a new agent, you do not need to be overwhelmed or threatened by the guy that dominates an area or a gal that's got a certain zip code. The playing field has been leveled. We are all equal. We're all at the starting line. So it's anyone's game. And I think that is beautiful. And that's not just agents, that's companies too. If anything, the indies have got an advantage because we don't have the overhead that the big companies do.
Well, it's fascinating to talk about that, Peter, because you make such a good point of, look, we all started freaking out when all of this happened because we were worried about something that we have zero control over. But the reality is we never had any control over it. So not that much has actually changed. And all that this has really done is highlight how little control we have over so many things that we work on each and every day. So I think for so many people, like the gift that folks like Peter are coming out of, folks like Vic, folks like myself are moving forward with is when you can stay laser focused on the things that you can control, your budgets, your profit and loss, those sorts of things, that changes the game completely because then you become more flexible, more nimble, more responsive to all of those things that are outside of you.
One of the other things that I think is now the time to do, I was just talking to my coach and he says, do you have the right metrics in for your people? Are they doing too many things? So the traditional model was you have to be able to list a house and buy a house and sell a house and, you know, help investors and things like that, but you might not have a passion. I've had people that love being a buyer's agent and they don't want to work with sellers because they don't like that. So this is a time where you can really dig deep into what you love and you can make a lot of money and help a lot more people doing it too. So it's a really good time to just chunk down and focus on what you really love doing in the business and then let other people do what you don't love.
Right. The phrase for me, not to probably utterly misquote Warren Buffett, is when there is blood in the streets, there is opportunity or something, you get the idea. But my feeling is this, right? When there is a gap, that to me spells opportunity. So if I was a brand new agent again right now, if I was starting or if I was in year 2 or year 3, I would see that everything is ground to a halt. So I would double, triple, quadruple down on my spend preparing content, preparing videos. I would borrow money from family members because I believe in me. I believe in this product. I am the product. And I would come out the gate faster than all my competitors because I've always made a point, and this is if there's one piece of advice I can give anybody, never make a decision with fear, always make it with faith. I'm not a conservative guy. I'm a guy that will leap out of a plane and try and find a parachute on the way down. I've made a career of it. And we live in the United States. We're not gonna, hopefully we're not gonna burn, but it's like, what's the worst that can happen? We live in a society where entrepreneurialism is applauded and encouraged and helped. We got to go for it. There's been a massive reset. Spend on the product, and the product is you.
Well, and I want to kind of give Peter kudos here too, and all of the brokers out there that are actually helping their agents through this. Because I think if you are an agent sitting here watching this and you're thinking, shit, I think I'm allowed to curse, but shit, I've been sitting through COVID and I don't know what to do next. I feel frantic. I feel worried. You should not feel worried as an agent. You should have a broker that is helping you through this, is teaching you how to navigate all of this situation, is training you on a regular basis. And if you don't, you really need to look for a new one because that's the responsibility that they have to you right now. And I give Peter kudos because I know that he's talking to his agents about what they should be doing each and every day in terms of these times. And I mean, as an agent, you should never feel alone, regardless of your independent contractor status.
Just to jump on that, I'll be 1 second, which is, if you're an agent and you're scared to leave a company, you gotta leave. You should join a company because you are attracted to it. Never go, I'm scared to move because what if? What if's are gonna happen anyway? It doesn't matter. And never stay in a place out of fear. Sorry, Vic, go ahead.
No, I just wanted to, Vic, do you have something you want to jump on?
I was going to say the same thing. This is the opportunity to move companies, move teams. This is the time to be interviewing people. This is the time to take control of your life. And this is the time where you have an opportunity to reset because people don't know what to expect. So this If your broker sucks, if your team leader sucks, there are badasses in the industry, and you should go find one because they will elevate you to the next level in all aspects of life.
I just want to say, you know, I recommended all three of you for this panel because I'm very lazy, and I knew that if I got the three of you on a panel, I wouldn't have to do much. I just throw a question, and you guys would run with it for the next 15 minutes. I did want to make sure we talked about the poll, just because I think it was interesting about do you have a formal business plan for 2020? We actually had a group that divided pretty evenly. About a third said they know, but they feel guilty about it. So they know they should, they just didn't put it together. Another 40% said, I have, but I haven't looked at it. And then about 25% are doing it, they have it, they follow it rigorously. So I would ask you guys, we only have a minute or two left. What do you do to get yourself from the no, but I feel guilty about it, or yes, I did it, but I haven't looked at it since January, even though the world has completely changed since January? How do you get to the point that you not just write a business plan, but that you stick with it, and you amend it, and you pay attention to it, and you let it guide your decision making? How do you do that?
Yesterday gone. Don't worry about it. You can't go back. Don't beat yourself up over it. Shit happens. Get over it. Make your plan easy, simple, and visual, and put it up places. And that's it. And then just in your daily routine, look at it in the morning, look at it at night. And if you need to make adjustments to it, you can do it on the spot, or if you're doing it 6 months later where you're never going to be able to catch up.
Absolutely. I think you also have to be really crystal clear about defining whatever your metric is going to be. Because I think a lot of these plans, a plan is only as good as the paper it's written on, really. It's all about what happens after the plan. So normally I don't really care if somebody has a business plan. I care what they're doing each and every day. And so the metrics are going to be what guides that. That's going to be, you know, you stepping on the scale each day to say, have I lost those 5 pounds that I was trying to? If I haven't, what am I doing today that's different than yesterday so I can move toward that goal? I think that's the element that so much of our business planners.
So let me give
you the last word.
Okay, so my business plan. So my business plan is this. I never write anything down ever. I never have amount of goals. I never have nothing. I don't have nothing. I wake up every morning and I bust my ass every day, and whatever happens is gravy, right? I remain utterly out of expectations and 1000% in action, but divorced from results. Divorced. Whatever happens is up to Mother Universe.
All right. Well, thank you all very much. I appreciate it. You guys are the best. I've enjoyed having you immensely. Enjoy the rest of the conference. Applause for you all. And I'm going to bring Renee up because Renee's got her other panel coming up. So she'll join us, and we're going to be moving to talk about her next session.
Thanks,
guys. Renee.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you all. Renee,
Great sharing. Great sharing, Joe. Great speakers. Lots of value going on there. All right, Agent Connect community. Our next session is Will Virtual Listing Presentations Really Happen? Join me in extending a welcome. If you would share, drop a comment into the chat box. Welcome Katie Smithson. She's the Director of Enterprise Services at W&R Studios, the makers of the Cloud Agent Suite, and 2016 Inman Innovator Award winner. Katie, we're so grateful you're joining us today.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
I know you have a lot of value you're going to be delivering today. Let's dive right in. Sure. What's the story behind CMA Live?
Sure, yeah. So Cloud CMA has been around for about 10 years now. And one thing that we do at W&R Studios is we're always continuing to improve our products. We take our users' feedback and try to incorporate new features and new enhancements all the time. And in this past year, we've really been talking with a lot of our brokers and agents and trying to figure out what we can do to just add a little bit more excitement to Cloud CMA. So we started working on Cloud CMA Live about 6 months ago. And then with the pandemic, things kind of took a little bit of a shift, and we thought, well, since we're already going down this road of developing this live CMA presentation, we should incorporate tools that will make it easier for agents to actually do a virtual listing presentation. So that's kind of how it evolved. It, like I said, we had this idea. We've been working on this for some time before the pandemic actually hit. But honestly, the timing just kind of worked out well that we could launch something that would be beneficial to agents during this time.
I'm curious from the audience, I'm going to drop a poll in, curious to see, do you use a print or digital listing presentation? Let's see where the audience weighs in on that question. And while they weigh in, can you share with us, how do virtual listing presentations work with Cloud CMA Live?
Yeah, sure. So we actually built into the presentation itself, there's a link where you can connect to your Zoom account, to your Skype account, to Google Hangouts, or just do a simple screen share. So when you actually start your Cloud CMA Live presentation, you'll have the option to connect very simply and easily within there. So a cool feature that we, like I said, it was just something that was kind of a no-brainer to take in that integration and add it in.
I'm seeing the numbers come in, and it's saying 87% of our audience utilizes both print and digital, a combination hybrid. Talk to us a little bit, if we want to lean more into the digital side, are printed reports still necessary? Will agents continue to use them?
Sure, yeah. I mean, that's a great question, and it's certainly something that, we have thought about. When Cloud CMA launched, like, our main focus was all about having this printed presentation that would look great for clients. And we don't think the value of that is going away. I mean, there's still a lot of reasons that you would want to use a printed report in addition to your virtual or your interactive presentation. So with the printed report, you can have this physical leave behind that you drop off after your listing presentation, or in a situation where maybe you don't actually get to meet in person, you could still email a PDF version of the report. It really just kind of memorializes your time that you spent with the client. So you, with Cloud CMA, you've got your live presentation. You can go through it and make tweaks and show what are scenarios, but you still got that PDF that you put together that really is concrete evidence of the research that you've done on the property.
I love that you're sharing more information, because we've talked a lot about today at Agent Connect about that marriage between the technological side of our business and the relationship side. And we know technology is a tool in our tool chest. So Cloud CMA Live really gives agents that enhanced tool in their tool chest to help them build stronger relationships through the listing process. Can you talk a little bit about how do you see agents best utilizing it, and the sustainability of it that we might continue to lean further in?
Yeah, sure. I mean, like I said, we started working on the interactive digital version of the presentation even before the pandemic. So we clearly saw a need for that to complement the PDF version. I think that, the need for a virtual presentation is not necessarily going to go away after we are more comfortable and get away from the social distancing. It still can be a huge time saver. I could line up listing presentations back to back and not have to worry about traveling, having that drive time to think about. And I can be more productive as an agent. And you still have, I think they were talking about it in 2 sessions ago, where you can use the video incorporation, the video chat, to really connect on a personal level, and still connect with your client without having to be there physically in person.
Looking back at the last 60 or 75 days, our team in Orlando, we've been facilitating virtual listing presentations for the first time in our career ever, outside of our customers that are international, right? What we've seen is almost 100% adoption. So the conversations we are seeing is, even over the last 2 weeks, within our area, we're able to do in-person listing presentations. Our team is still moving forward. I fully anticipate that you'll have a much higher adoption. So having a tool like Cloud CMA Live is going to be such a critical component to those tools. The poll we just asked is, do you plan to continue virtual listing presentations? 95% of our audience says yes.
Awesome. Well, I think we're using Cloud CMA Live for that.
I would say that's quite a strong nod to the importance of Cloud CMA being in the tool chest.
Absolutely, yeah.
So we have about 60 seconds left, Katie. Share with us, as we wrap, one of the most important features of Cloud CMA and how agents can utilize it every day.
Well, I mean, I think, you know, having this combination of both the virtual and the actual printed version of the report, it really goes hand in hand. I think that's one of the most important features, is that you're going to have this a branded report in both the PDF version and the live version. It just provides you with continuity as you're presenting to your client. And really, you know, it's a powerful tool that uses the MLS information. It's the most accurate and up-to-date information, so you can make sure that you're giving your clients the best presentation that's out there.
Continuity is key, and Cloud CMA Live is an important tool to achieve that. So Katie, thank you so much. Thank you to W&R Studios. We appreciate you and appreciate you sharing today.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It's been great.
Our pleasure. Take care, Katie.
All right, thanks, you too.
All right, Joe.
Renee, good seeing you again. Briefly,
Good
as we
seeing
come on
you.
off stage.
I love the past five, maybe a high five, right?
One of these, right?
See you in a little bit.
You have another session coming up in a few minutes, and I got some people coming up right now. Please join me. We'll be talking about questions you must be asking your broker or team leader right now. And I've got Lauren Schneider, who's the owner of militaryhomesearch.com, as well as with the Rematch Real Estate Group out of Colorado Springs, and Nicole Lopez Cummins with True Houston Real Estate, partner inside Real Estate in Houston. Both coming up. Oh, they're both up here. Fantastic. Good to see you both.
Good to see you.
I'm going to start a poll. I'm starting a poll. Let me go pull it up. And the poll is, what's your opinion of how the pandemic will change or won't change the agent-broker relationship? Will impact the broker relationship? That it will be short-term disruption, that will spark significant long-term changes in the relationship, or it will accelerate changes that are already happening. I should say we're already happening in that question. So everybody should fill out, answer that question. But let me ask both of you, Nicole and Lauren, and I don't know if we're getting some feedback on somebody else's mic. Make sure everybody else is muted. Let me ask you both. What do you think if the pandemic, is it going to not have much of a long-term impact, have a massive long-term impact, or accelerate changes that are already taking place? Either of you.
Yeah, so oh goodness, there's the continuation of the forward of what we've already put into place, right? Like I listened very far earlier, we were talking about the things that were going to take place in the market 10 years from now in terms of the evolving technology kind of starts seeing those happen in the next 12.
Well, let me just ask you to hold on 1 second. I don't know if Nicole or Lauren, do either of you have some sort of other feedback device that you're playing? It sounds like I'm getting a feedback loop of what Nicole's saying. Does anybody have like another monitor open or anything like that?
I do not.
Okay, well, let me just ask you to do this just for purposes of this, that if you're not speaking, just mute yourself, because I'm not sure how we're getting it. We might be getting some feedback. So let me let you go with Nicole. I'm going to mute myself. Go ahead, Nicole.
Okay.
Answer the question. I'll make sure you get a chance to give you a full answer.
Yeah, I was just thinking see those changes accelerate within the next month. And like Gary Keller was saying earlier, that there have been things that have been put into place for quite some time, but we're going to see that happen at a much faster level or a much faster pace now that we are living in a world post-COVID, and now that we are seeing more virtual transactions, and now that we are seeing more virtual presentations like what's spoken about in the Cloud CMA listing. So absolutely, I don't think that it's slowing down. I think the change was already there, and I think it was just we knew what we needed to be doing. It was just the fact of having this catalyst like COVID really push it forward.
Yeah, I think that if I were to, I would come down the side of that the pandemic's not going to create something new, but it's going to catalyze, just absolutely accelerate things that were already happening. Like we were already moving to virtual transactions. That's going to happen more quickly. I think a lot of us were starting to do virtual training and do virtual showings and move to video. And that just, I think, got just such a big boost with all of that. But let's talk about, because our topic is talking about the relationship between the broker and the agent. And I know, I'm sorry, we've lost Lauren for a moment. She was having some issues. We'll get her back up as soon as we can. But let me ask you, the relationship between the broker and the agent has obviously been evolving significantly over the last 25 years. There's been a change in how that relationship works. What do you see that change? What do you see happening over the next couple of years? And do you see COVID-19 impacting that in any meaningful way, or is it just going to continue the way it was continuing?
No, I really do think that we're going to see much more impactful relationships between brokers and agents. And just as how COVID made us experience what we need to do for our people, right? Our people are everything. And so figuring out what we need to do in order to be better advocates for our brokerages and definitely for our teams.
And Lauren, I'll get you in because we lost you for a few moments, but we just want to talk about how we think the COVID-19, all the reaction that's been to it, how it might impact the broker-agent relationship. Do you see any meaningful, lasting changes coming out of that? Lauren.
Hi, can you hear me okay?
I can hear you now fine.
Okay, awesome. So you said, I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
Sure. What do you see do you see the pandemic having any meaningful impact on the agent-broker relationship going forward?
Absolutely. I think going back to your previous poll, the existing changes just extremely accelerate. In Colorado Springs, we are a heavy military town. So we are very accustomed to doing a lot of the transaction virtually, remotely. And so I think our brokers are already pretty well versed on that. But obviously, it does change because more and more of the personal touch, the human touch is being removed from the broker to agent relationship, the agent to client relationship. And, we're having to use technology, but still make it relational at the same time. So I see a ton of change in that department, a good change, and it's going to make us all more efficient, and it's going to, ultimately make us better at our craft and better to serve the client too.
All right, so obviously during the last 3 months, we've seen brokers and team leaders obviously have to adapt on the fly to their ways of doing business. What have you been doing differently, Nicole and Lauren? What have you guys been doing differently that has made a meaningful impact in your business?
Sure. So just in terms of meaningful impact, we started a fundraiser for our agents right after COVID started. I bought a couple hundred yard flamingos, and we ran a fundraiser for that with 100% of the proceeds going directly to my agents who had a lot of their transactions. We were very heavy FHA, very heavy suburban. And so we saw probably 70% of our backlog fall out. And, a lot of the women on my team, we are an all-female team. They're heads of household. And so I had to find a way to continue to help them put food on their table and while we were all managing homeschool. And so just making sure that you put your people first, like I mentioned earlier, but letting them know that you're there, that you're an advocate for them, you're there to empower them, you're there to help them have the most effective and personal one-on-one training. And then we also continued because we were doing in-person meetings 3 days a week prior to COVID, and that was a big part of our culture. And so switching that over to Zoom, making sure that we still had that regularity and that consistency was absolutely crucial for us.
Lauren?
Yeah, I completely agree with the, the responsibility of having to meet, but having to be, parents and homeschool, and it's been a lot to take on. I actually had the added challenge. I had a new agent join March 1st, probably the worst time to join. He has 3 kiddos and a stay-at-home wife, and he was leaving the Army and becoming full-blown commissioned, 100% commissioned realtor. And we tested this as like how, as a team, we need to make sure that this agent is so wildly successful. And so I totally agree with adopting, those multiple virtual meetings a month. It's been a huge success, and it's a great adaptation of our old business model.
One of the most, the extent to which people accelerated through their ability to use communication technology like Zoom and like Google Hangout or Google Meet or Microsoft Teams or whatever their platform of choice is. But you've got people, who never did that before, who they're now, I've got agents, I do a morning meeting. We never did this before. We do a meeting at 9 o'clock. I get about 150 agents on a Zoom call that we just do about a half hour of news and updates. And we're right at the epicenter, so we're still shut down. So we have lots of updates about reopening and how we're adapting and how the offices are going to be and things like that. So we have a lot to cover with the normal course of business. And they're doing things like we've now evolved into little background contests that we have because they're setting up crazy virtual backgrounds, or they're just having fun with it and doing it. And I think that it's something that can have such a difference, make such a difference, because it's so much more of a meaningful communication engagement to do it like we're talking right now than to do something on text, which is where everything was going. 3 months ago, it was like nobody talks on the phone anymore. They're all texting. Now it's like nobody's Zooming, right?
Yeah, absolutely. FaceTime, I'd rather almost FaceTime my agents now than call them or text them, right? Because it's that human connection. And I think that's so pivotal and important in our industry, is to maintain that human connection. And more so than that, just making sure that you're using that technology and those Zoom meetings and those Zoom calls as an ability or a way to leverage and pivot your business so you can thrive through this and not just survive through this.
Yeah.
You know what, those Zoom meetings, we joke now, back in the corporate world, too many meetings. So now we're all doing too many Zoom meetings because we're complaining about Zoom. But on the flip side, it's making us so much more efficient. Like, we keep commenting, oh my gosh, like, we're able to get to a showing quicker, we're able to get to an inspection quicker. We're literally able to serve more clients because all of a sudden we figured out the art of the Zoom meeting. And it's so funny that it took a pandemic for us to, figure that out.
Yeah, well, the thing is that it is we were one of the earlier sessions, I forget who it was that talked about meetings and said how bad most meetings are. And you're right, you don't want to all of a sudden end up in one of these meetings, but what a good meeting is about engagement. It's about talking. The bad meetings are the one where you sit down in a room and one person talks for 45 minutes and it's like, email me this, why do I need to, like, if they hand out a presentation, they should have sent you a week early reading the presentation while they read bullet points to you off the screen. That's the bad meeting. The good meeting is when you're actually engaging and discussing and persuading each other and talking. And those are the kinds of meetings that I see people using this for, which I think is a good thing. I think that's a real advance in all the ways people are using it. I think is a way to advance that agent-broker relationship, because you can have so many high-touch experiences with people on Zoom that you really couldn't have on text, that you couldn't have on phone, that you can manage a big group of people without ever leaving your desk. You know, and that's gonna help with cost efficiencies and things like that from the broker perspective.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it's funny. This is the first time I have been in the office in 3 months, just because I didn't want little kids running up at me. But I am noticing the adaptations we've had here, where we have roofers that have moved in, home inspectors, we have mud jacking companies. Like, you know, as we've had to fill office space, we're now creating this community in our physical office space, and that was so cool to see that we've already adapted and done that.
So the title of the topic was questions asking your team leader or broker right now. So what are those questions? What are things that agents should now be asking or expecting? How do expectations change after what we've gone through?
Yeah, I mean, one of the biggest things that I think agents should be asking their brokers or team leaders right now is, what are we doing to empower the agents? What are we doing to advocate for our agents? And what are we doing to leverage and pivot for success? Because those have really been the top 3 things that have really stuck with me through this entire, you know, the last like 3 or 4 months or so, is just ensuring the viability of our businesses, because we're here to leave a legacy behind. And if you're not pivoting, if you're not adapting to change, if you're not advocating and empowering your workforce, your agents, your teams, and even some of your ancillary businesses, like Lauren spoke about, inspectors and mortgage professionals, if you're not working to provide or facilitate a very cohesive transaction, a very cohesive organization, then it may not be a successful one.
I think, you know, when this started a few months ago, I know the consensus on my team was, we're going to have a rough couple of months, but gosh, we're going to kill it the second half of the year.
Mm-hmm.
As we learned more, we realized that's not really true. We need to learn how to kill it now, because this is very much changing the way we work. This is changing not only our country, but it's changing our world. And for us, the questions that we've been asking are, how can we still generate a lot of new business? How can we still generate a lot of repeat business? And how can we keep that human touch? You know, right now we should be planning our summer client event. That's not happening. We can't do that. So how can we pivot, like Nicole was saying, and still let those clients know that we're thinking about them and we want to do something fun for them, but we have to do it kind of in a different way. So I think just the constant creativity and change is crucial right now. And those need to be constant questions, because this is not a blip. This is a change.
You know, I think that's right. And I think that, you know, the way the question is framed in the panel topic, I think another way to frame would be, what did you learn about your broker over the last 3 months? Like, you know, if your broker is never going to be as tested, or your team leader, as they have been since, you know, late February. And they either stepped up or they didn't step up. Well, then, you know, maybe, I don't like to sort of counsel people on, oh, you should leave, not leave. But like, your expectations, I think a lot of great brokers, I saw colleagues of mine, we were talking back and forth. I was getting ideas from them. Hopefully I was sharing ideas with them about the things they were doing that were making such a difference in their agent lives. I mean, we did things like, we broke down all the CARES Act programs. We helped them get their PPP funds. We helped them get unemployment. We came up with all sorts of like stuff to help them through, you know, being more productive working from home. And we're doing like daily classes now that we never did before, because you know, we figured that was a way to fill the gap. What are some of the things that you think that, how did brokers step up and how do they keep that momentum going? And what should agents be expecting of them going forward?
Well, I think in our case, I really saw our broker kind of get hard on us. He said, you know, this is a mindset thing. You can choose to, you know, sit in the corner and figure out how to cut your expenses and get lean, or you can double down and you can go get that market share that is there to be had. And like, he was more of a motivator, and so as team leaders, we all took that to our teams, and we're up year over year. If I look at my team, we're up, and we had everything working against us. So that's a testament to leadership.
Nicole?
Absolutely. I mean, it's for us, we have a Texas broker, and then all of the teams kind of operate independently. But, you know, in terms of what our broker did for us was just provide the resources and the tools and the training. And we were really big in in-person training too, with all of the brands launching with Side in Houston and across the state of Texas. So it was really more so just an opportunity for them to pivot what they were doing in terms of the education and the access and the accessibility provided to the agents and staff here.
I think that's a great point, and I think one thing I want to ask you, Nicole, because I have to ask you about this, is that you won an Innovator Award this week from Inman. What was that for? Tell me a little bit about that. And it wasn't for the Pink Flamingos thing, which even though you did something involving the flamingos, somebody else, great minds think alike, somebody else in the flamingos thing got to do. But what did you get yours for? What was yours?
Yeah. So I created the Texas Festival Vendors Facebook page. And what had happened, COVID really hit us the second week of March. It was like March 11th, when they decided to close the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo. And we had watched kind of the response to that over the news. And we had seen the devastation, the financial impact and implication to these guys that really the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo is their biggest event of the year. Over 2 million people come from across the state to watch this event. And so we created a marketplace for the vendors to sell their goods. And to date, we have about 145 vendors. We have over 177,000 shoppers. And we've done over $1.5 million in sales, ensuring that the small businesses within our community could stay open, they could thrive, and they could weather the storm, so to say, through this. And not only did we create that, but we also provided them the ability to talk with us about how to set themselves up for e-commerce. And also we're kind of business coaches for them. Most of them are mom and pops without a website. So they all have websites.
I'm doing the same thing in my local area for my town. Not quite as big a space as you are, but that's really so important, because you got to keep these businesses that depend on retail sales. Like we said before, you know, you live off your hometown. If your hometown is thriving, you'll do well as a realtor. So helping those businesses stay afloat is really, really important. Restaurants and all the retail shops. All right, we're out of time, but I want to ask you one last quick question. You've got to answer it 10 seconds, 20 seconds or less. Wait, one piece of advice that you would give an agent that they should be expecting from their broker going forward?
Technology. They need the technological edge to be able to compete and thrive in this market.
Nicole.
A plan, systems, technology, and empathy.
Terrific. Hey, Nicole, Lauren, thank you both so much. I know Renee's going to come up. She's got one more panel to finish up our Agent Connect, but thank you for being a part of today. It was a delight having you both. And I'm going to take a break. I'll be back just to say goodbye with Renee at the end of this, but let me welcome her on, and I'll say goodbye to you too. Thank you for joining us.
Bye.
Uh-oh. They're me or them? That's them.
Yeah.
All right, Agent Connect, great job to Joe and his panelists. I'm proud to welcome our next speaker. Justin Seeby is an Atlanta-based professional with over 25 years of experience as a real estate agent. He has been the recipient of the #1 agent in Georgia for all of Keller Williams, as well as the entire Southwest region. Justin now dedicates his time to serving his team, the CB Group, with over 100 million in sales each year. And we also welcome Elizabeth Riley with Lux Property Group out of Austin, Texas, a leading real estate professional of over 20 years of experience, 5-time Icon Award recipient, and the multi-year winner of Austin's Platinum Top 50. Thank you both so much, Elizabeth and Justin, for sharing your time with us today.
It's my pleasure. Good to see you tonight.
Yeah, thanks for having us. How are you?
Grateful that you are both joining us. Hello, Elizabeth.
Hi, how are you? It's great to see you.
She said she wants to get
Grateful.
first.
Don't
Grateful
listen to
that, ladies first, we're diving right in. What is the most important best practice in your business to maintain strong relationships with your clients?
So my philosophy has always been to treat each one of my clients like they were my one and only client. I've always operated that way. I always will operate that way. I will tell you recently though, I've really started picking up the phone more and just checking up on people and checking with people to see how they're doing. And it allows me to reconnect with everybody, just check in, see how everybody's doing from an authentic place. But always, if I'm treating them like they're my only client, then that's what.
Yeah, and I mean, for me, it's staying in front of our past clients and our sphere of influence. I mean, you know, coming from contribution, I work for some of the greatest agents in the world. And what they do is they try to come from contribution and, you know, reaching out to our past clients, our sphere of influence, talking to them about refinancing their house, like interest rates so low, you know, about the market. I mean, everybody wants to know what's going on with COVID. How is this going to affect us? You know, so reaching out to those people, but coming from a place of contribution, not just, you know, use me as your agent or tell me about people who need to buy or sell real estate. It's really about what we can do for you, and that really has helped us a lot. So it's that relationship building process that I think we really focus on.
You both, Justin and Elizabeth, mentioned staying in touch with your customers, which client connection is what we're here to talk about today. I would like to bubble up a poll, which we're talking about which tool do you utilize most to stay in touch with your clients? Elizabeth, if you would touch on which tools are you using and which tools are new, perhaps over the last 60 days, in how you're staying in touch with your customers and clients.
Sure, I've always told people to do as I say, not as I do, because I don't have everything in place like I should. Right? I have a memory that I can remember everything about every transaction. If you put an address in front of me, from 5 years ago, I'll know who it belonged to. That's not a really great way to operate. That's just what I've always done. And we would get so busy that, you don't have time to change any of that. So during this unexpected gift of time, if you will, I really took a step back to put some systems in place. If I was using a system, it was Excel. It was easy, I could track things. The best CRM, the best tool is the one you use, right? So, and I've taken some lead from other agents that I respect and I regard highly in the industry. And so I have a CRM in place now. I've uploaded all my clients. I've gone in there and tried to clean it up to really focus on that so that I'm not forgetting something or thinking I'm going to remember it later because we get busy. So I am now moving past more of the memorization and the Excel type spreadsheet and using a CRM. And I'm forcing myself to use it, and I can already see a difference in my business and keeping in touch with my clients, because just like Justin, my business is really all about relationships. My business is 100% referrals from my past clients from my sphere of influence. And so I just really don't want to make sure I don't lose any of those important nuggets of information that's going to help me serve them in a bigger way in the future.
Well, and so, I agree with that, Elizabeth. One of the best things you said there was the best CRM that you use is whatever CRM you're using. And I built a business from $0 to $90 million in 3 years on Excel spreadsheets, and then we transferred over to CRMs and we tried all of them. It doesn't matter what you use as long as you're using one that gives you some type of organization, some type of system, some type of process to reach out to your clients. And I mean, our past clients and sphere of influence, and then you have leads, which is a totally different group, but you have to stay in touch and in front of people as long as you can. All right, you're on mute, Renee.
I'm glad you have it down, Justin.
We're doing a good job of muting ourselves so we don't have the problems. So we're doing good.
Yeah, I was hoping to contribute to resolution on that. Our poll that we had posed is showing of our audience, 65% utilizes CRM, 26% are utilizing their cell phone contact list, and 10% are memorization. So interesting numbers coming in. And I know, Elizabeth, you mentioned CRM. Justin, you mentioned CRM.
Welcome.
Can you both touch on
currently our
what type of
investors are looking
action
for homes that
plans?
are
What,
fixers
how,
to flip.
what is one of the
So
key
if the property
components
you're
in the
looking to sell
CRM
is
that
turning-
help you stay in touch? Justin, if you want to take that one first.
So, I mean, it's not only the CRM, because the CRM is a tool that you use. You have to build a plan. And so we have built a plan to stay in touch with our clients. Then we put that plan into our CRM. What the CRM does, it reminds us to do the things that we need to do. So for us, I mean, I'll touch on this real quickly. On the 7th of every month, we're going to send a video email out, and it's 90 seconds or less. And it's about, there's 3 topics that you do 4 times a year. It's market, you, and something fun. And you repeat that 4 times a year. And then on the 15th, we send out a postcard. On the 21st, we do an email, and then we call them 4 times a year. On top of that, we have an advocate list, which is your top 10%. Those are people who refer business to you, someone who bought a house from you last year, someone who sold a house from you last year, or someone who's just a raving fan. And for those people, we do 2 or 3 events a year, and that's like coffees or lunches or dinners. So we try to stay in front of people as much as possible. And when you talk to people, especially real estate agents, about this plan says you're going to reach out and touch your friends 4 times a month, people go, whoa. And it's that high I, which makes us good salespeople, but also we have this fear of rejection, and we don't want to talk to our friends 4 times a month or touch them 4 times a month, but you have to do that. And so that's really what built our business, and that's what really grew our business from start to finish.
Elizabeth, will you touch on some of the processes on your back end? I mean, we just put a poll out that was asking everyone what kind of action plan. Do you have an action plan helping you stay organized in your customer touch points? 41% are saying yes. Can you dive into that a little bit for us?
Yeah, I do much better when I'm proactive and not reactive. When it goes back to getting busy, if you don't have a plan in place, then all of a sudden it's like, oh my goodness, it's June 2nd. What am I going to do for June? And that never works out well. And so the CRM for me is really going to help, and it's starting to help me with the organization, because my goal is to be in front of my clients and my sphere at least 3 times a month in various ways. I don't have different groups like Justin just touched on. I treat everybody the same, because for me, that's easier for me to manage. I have a lot of big moving parts with my family and everything else, that if I'm breaking them up into groups, then I'm just going to get confused or forget a group or do something like that. So I just treat everybody the same. My goal is to touch them with something physical, a direct mail piece for something of value every month. I'm going to send my newsletter or an email update, and it's not salesy. Again, it's my personality, it's my relationships, so that it doesn't look like, oh my goodness, Liz is just asking me if I know somebody looking to buy, sell, or invest. It's them getting to know me. Hey, this is what my family's been doing for the last month, and then kind of building into the other aspect of my business. So I'm touching them 3 times a month in different ways. I also have a spreadsheet printout. I mean, this is going back to what I'm used to. I carry it with me, I keep it in my car, and it starts with A, and it goes all the way down to Z. And I just go down, and when I'm thinking, oh, Allie, how are you doing? Oh my goodness, how are the kids doing? And if I'm in the car, I'll just do a voice text, or I'll do a voicemail of something to touch base with them. And then I just go down my list. So I keep in touch with them that way. Before COVID, I was meeting with them for coffee or tea just to talk about them. We didn't talk about real estate. It always came up, but again, it was about them. So my processes are just staying in relationship with people, and now with my actual marketing touches each month,
it's allowing me to be a little bit more organized because I just see all the things.
So it's coming from contribution, Elizabeth, and I think that's the key point. And I think as realtors, we miss the point that we're not bugging people when we call them. We're not bugging our friends. We're not annoying them because we're calling to help them. And we're coming from contribution. We're there to provide value, we're not salespeople. We're not calling the phone book and trying to get people to buy a product. We're actually there to help them. You know, once we realize that, it makes it so much easier to pick up the phone and dial.
Well, Justin, and so that's what we want to be. We want to be that resource. I treat people the way I want to be treated. If Justin were to cold call me, I'm closed. You've lost, right? But if you're going to call me and add some value, or I know I can go to you for a resource, that changes the whole dynamic. And there's nothing wrong with cold calling or focusing your business that way. That's just not my personality, and I'm going to be completely uncomfortable doing it, and it's not going to be my authentic self. And so that's going to be very evident to my clients. Oftentimes, I feel that we as realtors can view some of the tech tools, and in this case, the CRM, as too invasive, and is it going to be coming from an area that they feel that they're being pitched? Justin and Elizabeth, you both share coming from contribution, the servant leadership hearts, and how we navigate. It's just like what Joe and I were talking about when we opened Agent Connect today, is we are the mayors of our town. And if we leverage the tools in our tool chest, that helps us come from contribution and be mayors in our town even more. We have about 2 minutes left, and I really want to hear from both of you on this. We've heard a lot of talk about back to basics. We need to get back to basics. What basics have you returned to in your business over the last 60 days? And what are your thoughts around getting back to basics? Justin, love to hear from you.
Well, you know, I love this topic. We haven't changed anything. This is exactly what we should have been doing, and I've been preaching for years. It's do exactly what we should have been doing. It's the basics. What are the basics? Pick up the phone. It's your most powerful tool. Call your past clients. Call your sphere of influence. Come from contribution. Offer things that help them. Be a resource to them. Be the person that they call when anyone thinks about or talks about real estate. And so for us, it's nothing new. The only thing that has changed is kind of the structure of our business, how we show property, how we do closings, how we do inspections. Fortunately for you and me as a real estate agent, we don't have to go to closings anymore. We don't have to do inspections anymore. We can actually sell a house without even showing it. So what is it that we do? Our structure has changed, but the way we get business has not. It's pick up the phone, call your past client. 80% of your business comes from those people. So reach out to those people with a consistent plan and always be the person that they need to talk to when they think real estate.
Justin, picking up the phone, that's a basic every day, right? Miss Elizabeth.
Absolutely.
Back to basics? I agree with everything Justin said. I have already been doing those basics, right? Because I'm always preaching to everybody, just go back to the basics. Don't overthink this. Just get into action. I have agents, newer agents, that'll call me and say, you know, your phone's ringing all the time, you're busy all the time, but you just sit back and you don't work your business. Oh my goodness, you couldn't be further from the truth. For me, I love handwritten notes. I write handwritten notes and cards all the time. I sat here and I wrote notes after notes, truly checking on each person, not something typed that was sent to everybody, but I would say, Ginger, oh my gosh, how's the new house? How are you holding up? And truly just sending them something that was from my heart, right? No expectation whatsoever. One thing I am doing that I never really did before is I am getting on the phone, but I'm not calling to ask for business. That's always made me uncomfortable. I'm calling to truly check on that. And that's opened up a whole nother conversation and allowed me to get into deeper relationship with them. So I agree. I'm doing all the things I was already doing before, except adding some phone calls here and there. But it's allowing me to focus on my business more and be more responsive and more, and she left this, I guess you don't like that answer. But be more focused on what we need to do in these times. And I'm busier now in the last month and a half than I have been in like the first whole quarter. And again, it hasn't been a distraction to me whatsoever.
Well, I guess it's going to be me and you now, Elizabeth. Joe, are you taking over here?
I just popped in because I saw that it looks like Renee got some technical issue, but I know she was wrapping up. So let me just give you a 20-second takeaway. One takeaway you'd like to drive home from people watching.
You or me, Elizabeth?
Well, you made me go first, so you go first.
I'll go first. Pick up the phone. It's the most powerful tool that you have. Call people. They want to hear from you. You don't have to ask for business. Come from contribution. You've got refis. You've got market data. You've got market what's happening with COVID. Just pick up the phone and call them. They want to hear from you. They want to talk. You go, Elizabeth.
Great point. Elizabeth.
Yeah, I would just say the same. Just be authentic. I always tell everybody, comparison kills growth. Don't worry about what everybody else is doing. Worry about what's true to your heart and what's best for your clients. You know your clients better than anybody else. Pick up the phone, check on them. Write a handwritten note. That goes a long way. It goes further than anything nowadays.
All right. Well, thank you both very much on behalf of Renee, who I guess got kicked off in something, but I know she wanted me to thank you guys for the great job. I watched the whole panel, enjoyed it. So let me let you both go, and we're going to slow.
Thanks, guys. It was awesome. Thanks, Elizabeth.
Being on.
Bye, guys.
And I'll say to everybody who is here today, thank you so much for being here with us for Agent Connect. My thanks to Renee, who did such a great job. And so say she get here to say goodbye. Hopefully she'll pop in any second now and allow me to say goodbye. She was the first. It's Elizabeth, not Renee. That she was her first Agent Connect. I thought she did a fantastic job. She had been doing the town halls the last few weeks, and she really is fantastic. So she did a great job. Great job by our panelists. Thank you all for being here. It was a lively chat area. Remember, we're not done. You can go to the, there's a virtual networking party with bingo and with cocktails that you can bring your own cocktails, and the fun continues.
Well, y'all can't go to that because that was for the conference. All right, so what y'all think about what those individuals had to share while I get the other one queued up? Merle, Patrick, what were y'all thoughts?
I think it was very informative. I actually took some notes on some things.
Let's see. You know what, Merle, we were having problems with you talking.
Oh, you can't hear me.
What about you, Margaret? Margaret's sitting in studio.
Well, the back to basics part, I think I like that. They brought back to my remembrance when, when I had no business.
Mm-hmm.
How did I get business?
Mm-hmm.
Talking to people, picking up the phone, letting people know, hey, I'm selling real estate now. This is what I do.
Yeah.
Do you know anybody?
Help
I
me
know they were
out.
saying don't just be like asking for the business, but when I first started, I had to ask for the business.
Had to ask for the business. That's what I'm talking about.
So I'm like, okay, well, that back to basics. I guess you can start building up a real good pipeline.
Absolutely. Good job. Merle, we got your audio fixed? Nope.
Can you hear?
No, Merle.
That's not me. It's not me. That's you.
Can't hear you. All right, well, we're going to get this other one queued up. This other one's about 10 minutes, but it was a good one. This Home Staging and Redesign Association, she's going to talk about some staging tips and things like that. So let me go ahead and get that queued up, and then that'll be the extent of today's virtual rerun. Virtual real estate rerun, I'm sorry. All right, let's see. Register. I gotta register. All right. It caused me to register. So we'll register. That's fine. That's fine. Can I watch it now? Thank you.
Hi, my name is Jana. I'm with the HSRA, the Home Staging and Redesign Association. We're so grateful to be with you today. We're going to be sharing the top 5 musts that every listing must have today as we have come out of crisis. As I mentioned, we are the Home Staging and Redesign Association. I'm also a realtor, and we have a local home staging company here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Now, we have staged over 6,000 properties alone, but the good news is our network consists of over 1,000 home staging and redesign companies throughout the country, and we all have the same one purpose: to prepare homes for market so they sell quickly for top dollar. We know if you are a listing agent, maybe you're a broker owner, this information is so vital to you, especially as we are coming out of the crisis. You know, crisis does create change, not only in our personal lives, our businesses, but at home. And as builders are designing tomorrow's property, you can imagine that changes are going to be made. We just came back from the International Builders Show earlier this year. We got to see the designs. We were able to experience the new product that was coming out, and I cannot wait as we move forward out of this crisis to see what other integrations they are going to come up with. You know, it's so important to have these elevated retreat spaces, places that we can be comfortable in, but also they're sophisticated and they are stylish. I know as we've all been at a stay-at-home order, our homes have been our retreat zones, and we have figured out what is important in these properties. As you are showing listings, now if you have a listing that is active or one that's coming soon, think about integrating these 5 musts so that you speak to your buyers differently when they do tour the property. Number 1, they want to see flexible work zones. Gone are the days of the old school office right off of the front door. We actually have one in our home, and I don't work there. I have one of our 5th bedrooms in the back of our property.
Welcome to iBuyer Connect. Currently, our investors are looking for homes that are fixers to flip. So if the property you're looking to sell is turnkey and your seller is looking for a full price offer,
you need to show 1 work zone, but try to go for 2.
Sorry.
Can you define 2 different work zones in the property? Maybe it is a spare bedroom, that is a flex space, and it has an extra computer desk on the wall with a single bed. Those are the things people are looking for. Paint the picture that there are multiple areas for optional workspaces in these properties. Is it something they can close off? Is it quiet? Is it also inspirational? You know, light and bright is what people want to see in properties today, not the dark woods in general. So think about that. Inspiration on the wall, something that people can be motivated to work. These are vital in today's home. Next is our resort style outdoors. The inside, outside, you know, bringing the retreat zones outside is huge. We want to be able to eat outside. We want to be able to converse and have that downtime. And we also want to be able to work. So how's the connectivity inside, outside? You know, can we have just open the doors, open the windows? You can imagine a listing with dark shades or having the dark panels. That doesn't say welcome. We want to make sure that we can work inside, outside. We can take the meals outside and we can rest. Is there a nice rest zone? Many of our vacations have been halted, so we have to stay at home. We have to have the staycation. So the resort style entertainment is vital today. How about the kitchens? This is number 3, grand central kitchens. They're so important. Gone are the days where one person is prepping the meals. Now it's an event. People want to get involved. We're cooking at home now more than ever, and that won't be a trend that ends very soon. Do we have comfortable bar stools? Can people communicate? Can we have 1 or 2 or 3 cooks with that entertainment? So people do want to see the roomy, the open, but also the stylish, you know, the polished kitchen that feels good. So have your coffee station going. Make sure that they also have the cookbook out and, you know, our cutting board. So we really get to show off the space and it looks clean, nice, and inviting. Every single home can have this. Out with the old, in with the new. How about safe and smart? Do we have spaces? These are the new features. We need to highlight them. You know, the Nest. We need to, the Ring. We need to make sure, whether it's a Google Home, we have wireless cameras. People want to feel safe and secure in their property, but they also want the connectivity. They want it to be a smart home. So highlight those features when it comes to really showcasing the listing. These are vital. Voice control, visual, versatile. Everyone wants a home that is smart and safe. And then our decompress zones. Is there a place that we could set up a nice sitting area? They could read a book, they could work. Maybe it's a yoga mat in a certain flex space that they could also flex their muscles. They could decompress, they could rejuvenate. We want places in these homes that really speak that language of our buyer today. So staging these spaces is vital as well. Decompress, rejuvenate, refresh. That is what people want to see. So how do we get started? It starts with you, listing agent. Making sure that you're able to do an initial assessment, whether it's on your phone, on your iPad. You can literally rate the spaces on a 1 to 5 star rating, just so that they know this is a work in process. These are some things that I can do to enhance the property. You can take pictures, you can submit. It includes your CMAs. It also includes any type of quote that you need from a vendor. Fingertips, right? People want their agents to be tech savvy. So having tools, whether you create them on your own when you go into the listing, or you're able to just rate it with your phone or your iPad, and it's real-time information that they have. That is key. So start there. The next step is to team with your vendors, those that are tried and true, those that are experts. We believe experts work with experts. So who do you need to bring in to make those key changes? You know, they can do a detailed assessment, your home staging professional, and that way everyone knows the time zone, when we're doing this, when we're going live with the property, when do all of these changes need to be made. We are storytelling in the property, not just placing a sign in the yard, but literally creating those spaces that shine and that people want. Next, the updates and the enhancements happen, and we understand that if this is an online showing or it is an in-house showing, it's ready to go. And we've got our professional pictures, our video walkthrough. We are ready for those top offers, and everyone can experience the home in their own way. And then our buyer feedback forms. This is also a new tool that people can literally download at the moment, whether it's an app or it's a QR code, and they can rate the property as they're walking through. Hit submit. Now you as the listing agent know the good, the bad, and the ugly real time. So all of these resources we have created at HSRA. You can go to hsraagent.com to find them. Plus, make sure that you download this and our other free resources, including a pre-showing checklist for your sellers. This is it. It's about the tools. It's about placing those in your hands to help you just be the top agent that you're created to be. Now, we want to thank you for your time today. Hopefully you have some value add. You know the top 5 musts that homes need now more than ever. And you need anything from us, please go to hsraagent.com, and we look forward to seeing you in New York 2021 at Inland Connect.
Oh, no, y'all.
All right. That does it for today. All right. So
can you hear me, Michael?
We gonna keep this thing going for another 3 days. I think I would like to just kind of speak a little bit of some of my takeaways before we wrap up our today's virtual real estate rerun, replay of the Inland Connect the Inman Connect virtual conference, first ever virtual conference. So we did look at our Agent Connect, which was like 6 panel discussions where they discussed a multitude of things. The biggest takeaways that I got was virtual is an opportunity with COVID and everything that we're looking at right now being quarantined. But even with virtual being the biggest opportunity right now, making the transaction, making things a lot easier for our clients, also continuing to be the local expert. You know, as things are becoming more convenient, going more virtual, more automated. One of the things that they did speak about was that's one thing that these major algorithms can't compete with us on, is being the local expert and continuing to grow and enhance ourselves when it comes to our local knowledge and providing value from that standpoint to our customers. And then also they talked about being more efficient. They talked about having a business plan. That was a big key. I like the way that she connected it though, to say instead of just sitting down once a year, which is something I used to do, just sit down once a year and come up with this grand plan. But then when it comes time to execute, you don't look at it again. So great quote from Tony Robbins says that complexity is the enemy of execution. So we got to keep that in mind when we put together a plan or a game plan as far as this one to execute. So she talked about doing it quarterly, shorter ranges. One of the guys talked about the quarantine situation being a gift because now the playing field has been leveled as far as those that were dominating market share. Well, now everything's just shifted and it's affected everybody at the same time. So see it as an opportunity to get a leg up versus something to protect yourself from. They also talked about as far as having a broker that's working with their agents through all of this. I thought that was key as well, to empower, your broker or brokers to help with empowering the agents through it. So as an agent, you should never feel alone. I think that's key as well, because you shouldn't as an agent. Even though your independent status, it was a great comment that they made. Even with you being an independent contractor, you should still not feel disconnected. That's key. They gave the presentation about the live CMA. It's funny that while she was doing that, I'm actually creating a cloud CMA for prospect. So that was something I didn't know, that now that cloud CMA can connect you and where you can do virtual presentations. Now I'll give you my quick take on presentations. That's not something that we really do as far as in our process, listing presentations. I know it sounds crazy because the entirety of the rest of the industry is all about getting to the listing presentation. But we're designing a way to where we can offer enough information to the client, or we'll say to the prospect ahead of time, to where they can actually make the decision without us sitting there and trying to present something to them. Because the reality is, in most presentations, you're giving them a lot of information that they absolutely do not care about. And you've never taken the time to really find out what it is that matters to them and just deliver it to them specifically. We're all talking about being more efficient. Well, that's the most efficient way, is to discover what the customer needs and then present those specific things, those specific elements or hot button points for them. So now we've redesigned our entire process to do it that way versus sitting down and presenting. But if you're still committed to the presentation aspect of it, I think it's great that CMA does offer this option to go live with your CMA. So they looked at that. Then they talked about questions that all agents should be asking their broker team leaders. They talked about will the pandemic have long-term or short-term effect? It's what they say, it's still out. Like, we really don't know. But what I would do is I would prepare and position myself for it to have a long-term effect. So go ahead and start making adjustments in your business and start doing business a different way. Like, I agree with them on that. And look, and if it doesn't move in that direction, guess what you've done? That means now you have two ways of doing business. You have a more efficient way, and then you have the old way. So you can still kill two birds with one stone. So that's what I would do. They also talked about asking questions. What are we doing to empower agents? What are we doing to leverage and pivot through this time? I think those are excellent questions. That's why we're so committed to the coaching, the one-on-one coaching, because that's a great place to have those conversations with myself. as far as what are the things that need to be done to empower you to keep you moving forward, as well as to leverage and adjust. How can we generate a lot of new business was another question they said you should ask your brokers. That's a great question. And she brought that up because there are those that feel like if it is a short-term situation, then they're not going to make adjustments. They're just going to ride it out. And I agree with her that this isn't one of those you ride it out things. Let's figure out how to build business now in the current environment. And they asked advice for agents to their brokers. You know, what should they ask to their brokers or team leads? You know, they told them to ask about, or they recommended that agents, and again, this is through the show that we looked at, that they ask questions about technology, having a technological edge as it relates to their business. Talked about them needing a plan, talked about systems, and talked about empathy. And then the final panel on that spoke about how to communicate with clients and these new realities. And the interesting thing is that it all kind of reverted back to the whole back to basics piece, utilizing your CRM, a customer relationship tool, continuing to use it as a tool, as a way to, I like the way he put it, as a way to remind you to do the things. So the CRM is not the solution. It doesn't matter what CRM you use. What matters is that you have a plan of how you're going to stay in consistent communication with your database. How you're going to stay in consistent communication with your past clients. How you're going to stay in consistent communication with prospects, right? So in essence, what is your lead generation process going to look like? What is that system of execution going to look like when you go, as you go after and nurture those two segments, and then where are you going to house that so you can be effective in how you execute nurturing and continuing to put yourself in front of those prospects, becoming attractive to draw those prospects and those leads, as well as the ones that have already drawn but aren't quite ready to make a decision. How do you continually nurture and put yourself in front of them as well? So all of that has to be systemized. All of that needs to have a process, and you need to have a plan. You need to have a process to do that. And then once you come up with the plan and the process, then you utilize the CRM and you incorporate the CRM. So I thought that was a great thing that they talked about in this video as well. And then the final session we looked at about the new features for every listing. I thought that was a great one. Gave us some 5 things of what buyers are looking for now as they go and look at listings. This came from a staging company. They're looking at flexible work zones. They're looking for resort style outdoors where they can eat, rest, and work. Nice rest zones. Looking for grand central kitchens, because now with quarantine, a lot of people are doing a lot more cooking. And for some people, cooking is a way of connecting with the family. So they talked about that and showcasing that in your listings. Talked about safe and smart. If you have voice, like wireless cameras, voice connectivity, voice control, you want to highlight those things. You want to highlight where this home is secure. You want to highlight where this home is smart with, is it a Google Home or Alexa? Do you have a Nest? So we talked about those things as well and highlighting those. And then the final area was the decompress zone. Highlight those areas where a person could come in, set up a couch, take a rest, maybe decompress by reading a book, or maybe a workout area. So highlight those as well. So those were some takeaways that I got from these 2 sessions. We got, some more sessions to come. So we got another 6 hours of content that we're going to replay over the next 3 days. Each day is going to be from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. So I highly encourage you. What we're going to do next time, everybody that's registered, I'm going to send an email out, and we're going to attach the link this time because I think it'll be easier for connectivity. All you got to do is click on that link. Same password, same meeting ID, but you click on that link and it'll probably get you on a lot sooner. With that being said, Merle, if I could hear you, I would ask you if you had any questions.
Read my chat. Read my chat at the bottom.
Hold on. What are you telling me to do? Let me see what she's telling me to do. She said, Oh, chat.
Bottom.
I got you. There we go.
I said
All right,
something.
here we go. This is what Merle says. Going more virtual, creating a vendors list, create cloud CMA, get contents together, etc. She says she's going to start having Zoom meetings with first-time home buyers and include a lender on there. Also continue to market herself virtually, lead generation, and that's what she's building now. All right, perfect, man. I thank you for sharing that with us, Merle. I think those are great insights. And you know, Merle is my coaching client, so I'm here to coach her through all of that as we build that piece together. So, all right, perfect. So, do you have anything else, Merle?
No.
No.
That's
all right,
it.
well, we'll see you tomorrow.
Okay,
See you tomorrow. All right, you guys have a good one. We'll talk soon.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.